Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more detailed videos. When fans talk about Molly on General Hospital, one of the constant debates that rises to the surface is the question of who, if she ever had to choose between them, would truly be the better man for her. The conversation usually circles around Cody and Michael, two characters who couldn't be more different on the surface, yet both hold qualities that could matter in Molly's world. And when we think deeply about what Molly needs, what she values, and how her character has been shaped over the years, the comparison becomes more layered than it first appears. Cody, with his rough-around-the-edges style, represents a type of personality that contrasts heavily with Molly's steady, idealistic side. He's spontaneous, unpredictable, and occasionally reckless, but that's part of his appeal. There's an energy about him that disrupts routine, and for someone like Molly, who can sometimes get lost in structure, law books, and obligations, that spark might be exactly what jolts her out of her comfort zone. With Cody, she would constantly be challenged to think outside her carefully drawn lines, to live a little freer, to stop overanalyzing every move. For a woman who prides herself on being rational and prepared, Cody could be the one man who shakes her world in ways she wouldn't expect. That's not a small thing. On the other side, Michael represents stability, reliability, and a sense of long-term partnership. He comes from a complicated background, sure, but the Michael we've seen evolve over the years is one who fights for family, one who values loyalty, and one who has shown time and time again that he wants to provide a steady foundation for the people he loves. For Molly, who is rooted in ideals of justice and fairness, Michael's consistency would bring comfort. He's not the type to whisk her into impulsive adventures, but he is the type to stand by her, to make thoughtful decisions, to invest in building something that lasts. For a woman like Molly, who cares deeply about planning for her future and creating balance, Michael might feel like the partner who aligns with her values rather than challenges them. The tension between these two options comes down to one of the oldest debates in relationships. Do we need the person who excites us, or the one who grounds us? Cody excites. Michael grounds. Which path is better for Molly? That depends on which version of Molly we think is most authentic. If we look at Molly's life, she has always been portrayed as someone who takes her education, career, and sense of morality seriously. She doesn't leap without looking. She doesn't let her emotions fully override her sense of reason. In that regard, Michael feels like the partner who would naturally fit. He's got the resources, the patience, and the practical mindset that would blend with Molly's way of living. A relationship between them wouldn't be chaotic. It would be steady, predictable in the best way, the kind of relationship that could weather storms without breaking apart. Michael's history shows he's resilient. He's survived betrayals, losses, and difficult choices, and he comes out of them still oriented toward responsibility. That's exactly the type of partner Molly might trust when thinking about marriage, children, or building a long-term future. But then again, one could argue that part of Molly's story is about avoiding stagnation. She can't spend her whole life bound by rules and predictability. Her character arc often shows her trying to reconcile her passion with her rational side. Enter Cody. He embodies that passion in its rawest form. He's impulsive, sometimes careless, but his actions come from a place of desire to experience life fully. Imagine Molly beside him. She'd be frustrated, probably rolling her eyes at his antics half the time, but she'd also be drawn into experiences she'd never pursue on her own. Cody represents a challenge. He's a man who would force Molly to break from the scripts she writes for herself, to live in the moment, to accept that life doesn't always follow carefully drafted plans. And in some ways, that's the very growth Molly might need in order to evolve beyond being just the sensible one. Another important angle to look at is how each man relates to Molly emotionally. Cody, despite his bravado, does show vulnerability. He hides behind humor and risk-taking, but we've seen glimpses of a man who craves acceptance and connection. If Molly, with her empathy and her ability to see past facades, were to draw that side out of him, it could be a transformative relationship for both. She'd give him the anchor he's missing, while he'd give her the wings she often tucks away. Together, they'd form a dynamic where both grow by leaning into their differences. Michael, however, already comes prepared with emotional steadiness. His loyalty and his consistent care for his family suggest that he wouldn't need Molly to fix him or uncover hidden depths. He's already processed a lot of his turmoil, already committed himself to being present for those he loves. With Michael, Molly wouldn't have to expend energy trying to stabilize him. She could simply enjoy the stability he provides. This might allow her to focus on her own ambitions and goals without constantly being pulled into someone else's chaos. From a narrative standpoint, Cody with Molly would create drama. Every scene with them would be sparks flying. Arguments, reconciliations, risky adventures, emotional confessions. That's the kind of pairing that lights up soap operas. But Michael with Molly would be more about endurance, a quiet but strong bond that shows how two people can build a life through consistency and shared values. One pairing is fire, the other is stone. Both have appeal, but they cater to different storytelling needs. Now let's look at compatibility in terms of personal growth. Molly has always wanted to make a difference, to have a career in law and justice, to live by principles. Michael, with his focus on family legacy, business, and responsibility, could complement that by supporting her ambitions. He wouldn't dismiss her goals. In fact, he'd likely encourage them, help her balance them with personal life, and ensure she had the resources she needed. Cody, in contrast, might not fully understand her professional drive. He might even clash with it, because his spontaneous lifestyle doesn't naturally align with long nights of case prep or long-term strategic planning. But at the same time, Cody could remind her not to lose herself completely in work, not to forget that life is also meant to be enjoyed. His lack of alignment with her career path could actually be the reminder she needs not to let ambition consume her whole identity. Is another angle. Cody has that unpredictable charisma. He's the type to make grand, messy gestures that sweep Molly off her feet, even when she pretends she doesn't want it. He thrives on spontaneity, and that intensity could pull Molly into moments of raw passion she rarely allows herself. Michael, on the other hand, offers the slow burn, the kind of chemistry that isn't flashy but feels safe and enduring. With him, romance wouldn't be about wild surprises. It would be about trust built over time, subtle gestures, and the comfort of knowing your partner isn't going to vanish when things get tough. If we dig even deeper, we have to consider which man Molly herself would actually choose, given everything we know about her. Molly isn't easily swayed by danger or excitement. She doesn't fall for bad boys just because they're unpredictable. That suggests she might naturally lean toward Michael's stability. But soap operas thrive on opposites attracting, on characters being thrown into relationships that push them out of their comfort zones. That's why Cody becomes such a tempting option. Because with him, Molly would be forced to confront parts of herself she normally avoids. Some fans might argue that Michael, being part of the Corinthos orbit, brings his own brand of chaos. His family connections tie him to a world of mob drama, power struggles, and constant danger. In that sense, Michael isn't as steady as he first appears. Being with him doesn't mean Molly gets a perfectly quiet life. She'd still be pulled into Corinthos conflicts, still navigating the ripple effects of Michael's complicated family loyalties. Cody, while reckless in a personal sense, doesn't drag the same scale of mob-related chaos into a relationship. So, ironically, Michael might actually expose Molly to more danger and unpredictability than Cody does, even if Cody looks like the wilder option. That paradox is part of what makes this debate so engaging. Michael looks safe but isn't entirely. Cody looks reckless but might bring a simpler kind of chaos, one contained to their personal dynamic rather than extended family wars. So which is truly better for Molly? The illusion of safety with Michael or the personal whirlwind with Cody? When we think about love on General Hospital, it's never just about who makes sense on paper. It's about who creates compelling tension, who allows characters to evolve, and who sparks debates like this one among fans. Cody as Molly's partner would be a relationship filled with passion, growth through contrast, and endless sparks. Michael as Molly's partner would be one of balance, growth through support, and the promise of long-term stability. Neither is wrong. It all comes down to what we believe Molly needs most right now. So in the end, Cody versus Michael isn't a simple choice. It's a question of whether Molly thrives more when she's grounded or when she's shaken out of her patterns. Both men bring qualities that would change her life in profound ways. If she chose Cody, she'd live in Technicolor, never knowing what tomorrow brings but never getting stuck in monotony. If she chose Michael, she'd have the reassurance of stability, the chance to build her career and her family dreams without constant turbulence. The real question isn't who's the better man in general, it's who's the better man for the Molly we see right now. And that's a debate that might never fully be settled, because it depends on which side of Molly's character you value most. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for all of your updates.